My phone buzzes against the counter, an unfamiliar rhythm after 8 months of silence. Dad's name flashes across the screen, and my coffee mug slips from my fingers. It shatters on my kitchen floor, splashing hot liquid across my bare feet. I barely notice the burn. Adrian? Dad's voice sounds exactly the same. No hint of the 8-month gap in our communication, no acknowledgement of my move across the country from Minnesota to Oregon. We need to talk. I stare at the broken ceramic pieces while my heartbeat drums in my ears. About what? Aaron's engagement dinner next weekend. They found out you're his sister. The Watsons value family. You need to be there. Of course. Aaron. My perfect older brother who never left Minnesota, who followed Dad into medicine, who checks every box on my parents' success list. I can't make it. I say, grabbing a dish towel to mop up the coffee. I have plans. Cancel them. His tone leaves no room for negotiation. This is important. To who? You haven't called me in 8 months. A heavy silence stretches between us. Then, if you don't show up, I'll tell them you cut us off. That you're arrogant and ashamed of your own family. I freeze, the soaked towel dripping between my fingers. You'd lie about me? It's hardly a lie when you vanish without a word. A laugh escapes me not from joy but disbelief. 8 months of silence, and now I matter, because I'm useful. My mind flashes back to summer 11 years ago. Me at 17, clutching the acceptance letter to a free coding camp at the University of Minnesota. A rare opportunity for girls interested in computer science. We can't afford the bus fare, Mom had said, sliding a plate of meatloaf toward me at dinner. Maybe next year. 2 weeks later, Aaron burst through the front door waving his own letter. A prestigious $3,000 leadership program at Northwestern. We'll make it work, Dad had announced, clapping Aaron on the shoulder. Then, noticing my expression, he'd added, maybe your sister sucked all the luck out of this family. Back in my kitchen, I gripped the counter edge. I have commitments here. I can't come. Commitments? Dad's voice sharpens. What could possibly be more important than your brother's engagement? My life here, I say, the one I've built without any of you. I regret raising you. The words slice through the line. We always knew you'd betray us. My hands tremble, then suddenly stop. A calm washes over me as I realize something profound. I'm no longer afraid of his disapproval. It's already priced into my existence. Is that all? I ask, my voice steady. The call ends without another word. Within minutes, my phone pings with a text from Mom. A photo of me at 3 years old clutching a teddy bear. Another ping. Me at 5, missing my front teeth. You were such a sweet girl. What happened to you? My aunt calls next, then my uncle. Cousins I haven't spoken to in years suddenly have opinions about my absence. The coordinated attack is impressive in its efficiency. I open Facebook and navigate to Mom's profile. Yesterday's posts appeared a birthday brunch with her friends, all smiles and mimosas. Best day ever with my favorite people. The timestamp, 18 hours ago. So much for being devastated by my absence until I refused to attend the dinner. This performance of grief only began when I became inconvenient. I block my father's number, then my mother's. The trembling returns to my hands, but it's different now, not fear, but the physical aftershocks of standing my ground for the first time in 28 years. I look at the shattered mug on my floor. Perhaps some things need to break before you can finally sweep them away. Later that day, my phone buzzes with a notification from an old group chat I muted months ago. I tap it open, expecting wedding details from the extended family. What unfolds instead makes my stomach clench. 8 months of messages about me. Not to me. Adrian always was jealous of Aaron's success, my mother wrote 3 months ago. She can't stand that he's getting married before her. My father. We've tried everything. Some children just refuse to appreciate what they have. I sink onto my couch, my breathing shallow and quick. My cousin Diane chimes in with sympathy for my poor parents dealing with such a selfish daughter. Screenshots of my Instagram posts appear in the chat, dissected for evidence of my supposed bitterness. She abandoned us without explanation, Dad wrote. Who does that to their family? My fingers tremble as I scroll back to April, when my mother posted that I'd run away in a fit of jealousy after Aaron's engagement. No mention of the coding camp denied, the constant comparisons, the 17 years of playing second string. The worst discovery comes in a message from Aaron himself. Don't worry about the wedding. We'll make sure everyone knows the real story about why Adrian isn't there. My throat tightens. They never intended to reach out until they needed a prop for the perfect family portrait. 2 days later, I joined Aaron's rehearsal dinner via video call, against my better judgment. My laptop screen fills with crystal chandeliers and white tablecloths, everyone in pressed suits and cocktail dresses, while I sit in my home office in a hastily chosen blouse. "Oh, she's connected!" My mother's voice rings with artificial delight. "Everyone, this is Aaron's little sister from California." "Oregon," I correct automatically. "Right, Oregon." She waves dismissively. "Caroline's parents wanted to meet you before the wedding." Caroline, Aaron's fiancée, offers a tentative smile. Her parents nod politely, clearly uncomfortable with the palpable tension. "Well, look who managed to make time." Aaron's voice drips with condescension. "Glad you could join us for once." The waiter arrives with champagne, and glasses rise for a toast. Aaron stands, straightening his tie. "To family, those who stand by you no matter what." Eyes flicker toward my image on the tablet propped at the end of the table. Message received. When the call ends an hour later, my phone immediately pings with a text from my cousin Diane. "You embarrassed everyone tonight." I frown. I barely spoke. Another message follows. "Just so you know, I mentioned your attitude problem to my friend at TechVision. He's pretty connected in the Pacific Northwest." My blood runs cold. TechVision is the largest tech employer in the region, with connections to nearly every software company within 100 miles. "What are you talking about?" I type back. "Family protects family," she responds. "If you won't be part of ours, maybe your new colleagues should know what kind of person you really are." I set my phone down with shaking hands. My father's voice echoes from another message. "We're concerned about Adrian's mental state. Her workplace should probably be aware." The implications hit me like a physical blow. They're threatening my career, the life I've built far from their toxic grip. I've worked at my company for only 7 months. Without established relationships, how would I defend myself against family claims? I open my laptop and begin documenting everything: screenshots, dates, times, contexts. Then I adjust my social media privacy settings to maximum. I can't completely disconnect from professional networks without raising questions at work, but I can limit what information is visible. Later that evening, my phone rings with an unfamiliar local number. "Adrian? It's Grandma Margaret." Warmth floods my chest at her voice. "Grandma? How did you get this number?" I have my ways. Her soft laugh carries memories of Christmas cookies and quiet conversations in her garden. "Your mother doesn't know I'm calling. I wanted to tell you that I understand why you left." Tears prick my eyes. "You do?" "I've watched how they treat you for years. Sometimes distance is the only way to breathe." She pauses. "Are you taking care of yourself, sweetheart?" For the first time in days, someone is asking about me, not about what I can do for them. As I hung up with Grandma Margaret, I wondered if I should simply block my family entirely or document their behavior to protect myself. Cutting ties would bring immediate peace, but having evidence might protect me if they escalated their smear campaign. What would you do when the people who should love you become your greatest threat? My phone buzzes at 2 a.m. the same night. I grab it instinctively, squinting at the screen. A Facebook notification. Mom has tagged me in a post. I tap the link and my stomach tightens. A family photo album, titled "Complete Family Celebration." 27 images capture smiling faces across 3 generations, everyone except me. In the caption, Mom wrote, "So blessed to have our entire family together for Aaron and Caroline's pre-wedding festivities." Within minutes, my inbox fills with messages from childhood friends. "Are you okay? Saw your mom's photos. Didn't know you weren't speaking to them. Your brother looks so happy. Why weren't you there?" I click away, but my phone buzzes again. A text from an unknown number. "This is Caroline, Aaron's fiancée. Your family says you refused to attend our wedding because you're jealous of your brother's success. But your cousin Diane told me you weren't even invited until recently. I'm confused." I stare at the message, my heart racing. So they're spreading different stories to different people. The next morning, my parents' number appears on my caller ID. I decline. They call 3 more times before noon. My childhood friend Maria texts, "Your mom called me asking for your work address. Said she wanted to send you flowers. Is that okay?" I freeze. They're trying to find me. In days to come, sleep becomes a distant memory. Each night follows the same pattern: toss until 2 a.m., drift off, then bolt awake at 4 a.m. convinced someone is at the door. I check the locks twice before crawling back to bed. At work, I find myself peering over my shoulder whenever the elevator chimes. During meetings, I check my phone every few minutes, distracted by the fear of missing another ambush. The bags under my eyes deepen. My coworker Richard asks if I'm coming down with something. I lie about allergies. That evening, I create a detailed log of every call, text, and social media post from my family. I write down their exact words, noting contradictions between what they tell me versus others. The document grows to 7 pages. The next day, I email HR asking if they can implement a visitor screening policy. For personal safety reasons, I explain vaguely. Then I pull aside my team lead and ask her not to share my personal information with anyone who calls. She raises an eyebrow but agrees. Family stuff, I say, the explanation both inadequate and entirely sufficient. When I arrive at my desk on a Thursday morning, a yellow sticky note clings to my monitor. Richard's unmistakable blocky handwriting. Whatever's happening, you've got allies here. A cartoon cat with a speech bubble says, "You got this." For the first time in days, I feel my face relax into something resembling a smile. Mom's FaceTime request lights up my screen that evening. Against better judgment, I accept. She sits at her kitchen table, pearls gleaming at her throat, makeup perfect despite the hour. "You look terrible," she says by way of greeting. "Thanks, Mom. If you came home, you wouldn't be so stressed. We're worried about you." I run my finger along the edge of my laptop. "I'm fine. Aaron says you're making Caroline uncomfortable with all this drama." "I've spoken to her once. She's very sensitive." Mom sighs dramatically. "Your father and I have been discussing this, and we think you're having some sort of breakdown. First moving across the country without telling anyone, now refusing to attend your only brother's wedding. I wasn't invited until last week. Because you made it clear you wanted nothing to do with us. After everything we've sacrificed for you, this is how you repay us?" The words hit like a physical blow. My hands clench into fists. "Name one sacrifice," I say, my voice dangerously quiet. "Just one that was actually for me." Mom's mouth opens, then closes. She blinks rapidly. "You can't, can you?" The realization washes over me like cold water. "Because there weren't any." "How dare you?" Her voice rises. "We gave you everything. You gave Aaron everything. I was an afterthought when you remembered me at all." "That's not true." "Senior year. My full-ride scholarship ceremony. Neither of you showed up because Aaron had a soccer game. That was different." "How? How was it different?" The silence stretches between us. Mom's face hardens into an expression I recognize from childhood right before she'd say something designed to hurt. "You were always difficult," she says finally. "From the day you were born." I nod slowly. "And now I'm difficult somewhere else. Goodbye, Mom." I end the call and sit in the silence of my apartment, heart pounding but mind strangely clear. The next afternoon, Richard stops by my desk. "Thursday dinner at Riverstone Grill. 6 o'clock? You in?" "What's Thursday dinner?" "Me, Jenna, and Theo get together weekly. Nothing fancy, just food and conversation." That day, at the restaurant, Jenna waves from a corner booth. As I slide in beside Richard, I notice how different this feels from family dinners. When I speak, they lean in slightly. No one interrupts. When I mention a challenging project I solved last month, Theo asks follow-up questions with genuine interest. "That's brilliant," he says. "We're lucky to have you on the team." By dessert, I find myself sharing stories about my coding mentorship volunteer work. Jenna suggests I apply for the company's Community Leadership Award. "You should," Richard agrees. "What you're doing matters." On the drive home, I realize I've spoken more tonight than at any family gathering in my memory. 2 weeks later, I sign the closing papers on my new home in Springfield, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, on a quiet street with mature trees. The realtor hands me the keys with a smile. "Congratulations, homeowner." At home, I update my documentation file, adding employment verification, mortgage approval, and photos of my new place. Evidence of a successful, independent life they can't diminish. My doorbell rings at 9 p.m. Through the peephole, I see Caroline Aaron's fiancé shifting nervously on my welcome mat. I open the door. "How did you find me?" Caroline stands on my doorstep, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. Her engagement ring catches the afternoon light. "May I come in?" Her tone suggests this isn't a social call. I step aside, my heart hammering against my ribs. Coffee? She shakes her head but follows me into my living room. The folder I prepared sits on the coffee table, evidence compiled over years of systematic erasure. Aaron said you're refusing to attend our wedding because you've always been jealous of him, Caroline says, perching on the edge of my couch. But something doesn't add up. I open the folder without a word and slide a stack of family photos toward her. In each one, Aaron stands centered, beaming, while I hover at the edges, half-cropped from frame, forgotten. This was my 8th birthday. I say, pointing to a photo where my father holds the cake before Aaron, who isn't even looking at me. No one sang. Dad said they were saving their energy for Aaron's piano recital that night. Caroline's fingers trace the images, her expression shifting from suspicion to something more disturbed. There's more. I say, voice steady as I show her documentation of college applications, graduation announcements where my name appears in tiny print beneath Aaron's achievements. Caroline swallows hard. I had no idea. My phone erupts with Aaron's ringtone. I turn the screen toward her. 10th call today, I explained. Do you mind if I answer on speaker? You should hear this. Caroline nods, her engagement ring suddenly looking heavy on her finger. Adrian, Aaron barks when I answer. Where's Caroline? Her mother said she was visiting you. She's right here, I say calmly. Put her on. Now. His voice carries the same authoritative edge our father uses. You're on speaker, I reply. Caroline, get back here, Aaron demands. Whatever she's telling you is lies. She's always been unstable, always needed attention. Caroline's eyes widened at his tone. Aaron, she interrupts. You never mentioned that your parents didn't attend Adrian's college graduation. The silence stretches for 3 heartbeats. That's not what happened. He finally sputters. They were sick. Both of them. Same day. Tell her, Adrian. I slide another photo toward Caroline, my parents at a Twins game. Time-stamped the day of my graduation. Caroline. Aaron's voice drops to the gentle tone he reserves for manipulation. Remember how I told you my sister has always created drama? This is what I meant. Come home so we can talk about this without her poisoning. Caroline reaches over and ends the call. We sit in silence until she asks, would you still consider attending the wedding? I pause, studying the warm afternoon light streaming through my windows. Would showing up with dignity demonstrate I'd moved beyond their power? Or would staying away protect the peace I'd fought so hard to build? What boundaries truly bring healing when family has failed you? That evening, Richard stops by with takeout and a folder of his own. I've spoken with HR, he says, laying out documents on my kitchen counter. If your family tries contacting the company, they'll be directed to legal. Your position is secure. He's drafted a statement for my professional social media, nothing dramatic, just subtle language establishing boundaries before any smear campaign can take root. You don't have to fight this alone, Richard says, pushing a container of pad that toward me. My phone buzzes with a text from grandmother Margaret. The wedding rehearsal moved to 4 p.m. Friday. Reception at Lakeside Gardens, not hotel as originally planned. Aaron told Caroline's parents you confirmed you won't attend. Should I correct this? I text back. No need, let me handle it my way. For the first time in days, I feel secure in my decision. The protection of my new support system wraps around me like armor. Later that week, Margaret calls with news that cracks open a smile on my face. Caroline's parents cornered your father at dinner, she tells me. Asked why he'd cut you out of family photos. Your mother couldn't explain why those pictures on Facebook show you standing apart at every gathering. Margaret pauses. And Caroline's father questioned Aaron about his outburst on the phone, said it reminded him of how your father speaks to your mother. A tension I've carried for years loosens in my chest. The wedding's next week, Margaret continues. Your mother's telling everyone you'll make a dramatic last-minute entrance, but Caroline's parents keep asking uncomfortable questions about why you'd need to make a statement at all. I picture my family scrambling to maintain their perfect image as the foundation crumbles beneath them. The Watson family values honesty, Margaret says with satisfaction in her voice. Something your parents forgot long ago. As the wedding weekend was slowly arriving, I turned off my phone and opened my laptop. The piece I've built did not require their approval or their invitation. On a Friday morning, the glass doors of Zenith Software swing open, and my stomach drops. Dad strides in first, wearing his best doctor smile, the one reserved for difficult patients. Mom follows, her fingers twisting her wedding ring in circles. Aaron trails behind, eyes fixed on the polished floor tiles. Richard glances up from the reception desk, eyebrows shooting toward his hairline. Adrian, he pauses, searching for the right word. Family is here. We just need 15 minutes, Dad says, his voice doctor, smooth but eyes flint, hard. Family matter. I feel every eye in the open office space lock onto us. Heat crawls up my neck as I motion toward the small conference room. This way. Once inside, Dad doesn't waste time. We've come with a reasonable compromise. He leans forward, hands clasped on the table like he's explaining treatment options. Just attend the ceremony, sit in the back, leave before the reception if you want. Mom's hands flutter like trapped birds. People are talking, sweetie. They're saying such awful things about why you won't come. Things we've tried to correct, Aaron adds, his apology sounding rehearsed. But without you there. He shrugs, the implication clear. Dad delivers the final blow. If you refuse this compromise, you'll only confirm what everyone already thinks, that you're the problem. I say nothing as I walk to the digital calendar displayed on the wall. With 2 taps, I bring up next Saturday. The 10 a.m. slot reads, House closing, Springfield. I pull out the chair at the head of the table and sit down, allowing them to notice the framed award on the credenza behind me. Team Innovation Award, Adrian Hastings, lead developer. I'm closing on my new home that day, I say, my voice steadier than the rhythm of my heart. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, mine. Mom's lips part in surprise. You bought a house? Without telling us? Just like I built a career without your help. I gesture toward the award. I don't need to prove my worth by attending an event where I'm merely tolerated. My life is full without pretending we're something we're not. Dad's face darkens. That selfish attitude is exactly why. Selfish? The word hangs between us. Was it selfish when I asked for bus fare to attend a free coding camp while you spent thousands on Aaron's leadership program? Was it selfish when I worked 2 jobs through college while you paid his rent? I lean forward. Or is it selfish now because for once I'm putting my needs above your convenient family narrative? Aaron shifts uncomfortably. Look, Caroline's family is traditional. They expect certain things. Then be honest with them, I reply. Tell them your sister wasn't invited until you needed a prop for your perfect family portrait. The conference room door opens slightly. Through the gap, I spot 3 of my team members pretending to discuss something by the water cooler, their concerned glances darting our way. I stand up, reaching my full height. From this position, I look down at my seated family, these strangers who share my DNA but know nothing of my dreams. I think we're finished here. I walk to the door and hold it open. Mom's face crumples on cue, eyes welling with tears that never quite fall. How can you be so cold? After everything we've done? That's the problem, Mom. After everything you haven't done. Dad's face flushes as he rises. We drove 4 hours to be here. You could show some basic respect. Respect? The word tastes bitter. You showed up at my workplace unannounced to manipulate me in front of my colleagues. That's not respect. That's ambush. Richard appears beside me, coffee mug in hand but eyes alert. Everything okay in here, Adrian? My family was just leaving. I don't break eye contact with Dad. For a moment, something flickers in his expression, confusion perhaps at this unfamiliar daughter who no longer flinches. Mom clutches her purse to her chest like armor. Aaron stands awkwardly between them, suddenly looking less like the golden child and more like a ventriloquist's dummy without its master. Richard, would you mind showing them out? I have the Pearson project to finish. I return to my desk without looking back, ignoring the whispers that follow. My fingers hover over my keyboard, trembling slightly before finding their familiar positions. Within moments, I'm coding again, line after line of clean, predictable logic, a world where input determines output, where past performance reliably predicts future results. Later that afternoon, my phone buzzes with a text from Grandma Margaret. Caroline called me. She has questions about Aaron I couldn't answer. Wedding might be postponed. Are you okay? I type back. Better than okay. For the first time, I'm free. Next week, what would have been their wedding day arrives with unexpected sunshine after a week of Oregon rain. When I collect my mail, there's a cream-colored envelope with Caroline's handwriting. I turn it over in my hands, feeling its weight, wondering what truths it might contain and whether I'm ready to receive them. On the wedding day, I was organizing a party for the new house. The laughter floats through my new home like music, a sound I never knew could belong to me. 20 people fill my living room, coworkers and neighbors raising glasses as Richard finishes his toast. To Adrian, he says, who built this sanctuary brick by brick, code by code. I scan the faces around me, not one person looking bored or checking their watch as I was trained to expect whenever attention turned my way. In my childhood home, toast celebrated Aaron's smallest achievements while mine collected dust. Tonight, everyone gets their moment. When my turn comes to speak, I don't minimize my journey as I once would have. To all of you who saw me when I felt invisible, I say, my voice steady and proud, and to this house that will never have locked doors to anyone who respects its peace. Later, as guests mingle around the buffet I prepared, my phone vibrates on the kitchen counter. Dad's name appears on the screen. Unlike 8 months ago, my hand remains steady as I answer. Adrian. His voice carries none of its usual authority. Caroline called off the wedding at the last moment. I lean against my refrigerator, decorated with cards from my housewarming. I'm sorry to hear that. Your mother and I have been thinking. We may have been too harsh. If you wanted to visit sometime. The invitation dangles, the familiar bait of conditional acceptance. 8 months ago, this offer would have sent me scrambling for my calendar. Today, I recognize it for what it is: desperation, not love. I wish you well, I say, but I no longer need your acceptance to know my worth. The silence stretches between us, but unlike before, I don't rush to fill it with apologies. You'll regret this stubbornness, he finally says. No, I reply. I would regret pretending we're something we're not. I end the call and rejoin my guests, the weight of expectation sliding from my shoulders like a coat I no longer need. 2 evenings later, I host a smaller dinner. Richard helps me serve the roast while my coworkers Kim and Diane arrange flowers they brought from their garden. Grandmother Margaret watches from her seat at the head of my table, her eyes crinkling with approval. To the family we choose. Margaret raises her glass, her voice strong despite her 76 years. And the peace we protect. We clink glasses, the sound clear and bright in my dining room. Unlike the strained silences of my childhood dinners, conversation flows without hierarchy or judgment. The next morning, I show Grandmother Margaret my home office, sunlight streaming through windows that face east. This is where I'll run the mentorship program. I tell her, pointing to the whiteboard already filled with plans, for girls who love coding but don't have support. Margaret touches the graduate school application open on my desk. Your grandfather would be so proud. I'm planning to expand it once I finish my master's, I continue. There are so many overlooked young women who just need someone to notice their potential. Later that week, my first mentee arrives 16, brilliant and painfully shy. As I help her set up her laptop, she asks if I have siblings who taught me coding. No, I reply. I'm an only child. The words feel right, not like a lie, but a truth I've finally claimed. As I showed Grandma Margaret the guest room that would be hers whenever she wanted it, I wondered if healing always requires complete separation or if selective bridges can be maintained. When is holding on to a single family connection worth the risk? And when is a clean break truly the path to peace? For now, I have my answer in the garden I've planted, where only those who nurture are welcome to return.